Hello and welcome to the Dublin Arsenal Review Show. I'm your host, Jonathan Giles. On the show tonight, I'm joined by show regulars Eamon Donnelly and David Sims to review and analyse last night's 2-0 Carabao Cup fourth round victory over Fabian Hurzeler's Brighton side at the Emirates Stadium. And following the Gunners' Carabao Cup victory over Brighton, we will now face Crystal Palace in the quarter-finals, week commencing December the 15th. So sit back and enjoy the show. As always, it's a good evening to Eamon Donnelly, first of all, pal. On Thursday, October the 30th, are you feeling ghoulishly well?
Evening, Jonathan. Evening, David. I was talking to a fella there. He was a lift installer. And I said to him, and how's business going? He said, it's very up and down.
If anyone couldn't see this one coming, I don't know what it.
No, I'm all good. Yeah, all good. We're Finglas here, twinned with Beirut, just outside. It's quite noisy.
What a
Yeah, same
description of
everywhere.
things.
Yeah.
I'd like to also welcome David Trick or Treat Sims. What mood are you feeling in pre-Halloween night?
Yeah, all good, all good. Got my mask ready. Got my. I mean, next Halloween, I think we should be getting these made and selling them, shouldn't we? You know, they were yeah, good trick or treats. That's for sure.
It's great to have both my regulars on, and please comment, like, and subscribe to our Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel. And also, thanks for listening to us on Spotify. And at the end of our show, it will be Goal and Player of the Month as well for October. Uh, to our match review from last night, Carabao Cup fourth round, Arsenal 2, Brighton nil, Eaton and Wearley and Bukayo Saka from the Highland Academy. Our team lineup was Kepa Arita Balaga in goal. At the back man, White, Christian Mosquera, Piero Hincapié got 70 minutes. Miles Lewis Skelly. In midfield, Mikel Merino, Christian Norgard and Max Dowen, who had an incredible game on the flank. Ethan and Weirdy, Eberechi Eze and Harryman, Andre Anusk from the Highland Academy was up front. And our substitutes who came on were Gabriel, Jordan Timber, Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice and Leandro Trossard. Um, both goals were scored from the Highland Academy graduates, as I said, and then Weirdy and Saka. We'd six that came from the Highland who featured last night when you include Eberechi Eze. Back in the day, Miles Lewis Skelly, Max Down, and Weirdy, Harryman, Andrea News, and Bukayo Saka. So that was really refreshing to see last night. Max Dowman, at 15 years old, youngest ever Arsenal starter at 15 years and 302 days. Um, as I say, Piero Hincapié was at the back alongside Mosquera. His first start, and he got a good 70 minutes, and I'll come to yourselves later, how you felt, how he got on there. Brighton's Jorginho Rutter and Stefanos Simas caused problems, particularly in the first half. Rutter, Simas, Gomez, and Van Hecke with all goal-worthy chances in the first half. And we're probably quite lucky in the first half to escape not being maybe 1 or 2 nil down if they had taken their chances. Kepa was a bit all at sea from the corner that came in that Van Hecke missed with his header, and that's still a bit of a worry with Kepa, and the difference between Ryan and Kepa there, Ryan would have been, but Kepa clean sheet, can't ask for more. He's going to be our cup keeper, I think it'd be fair to say. I thought Max Dowman, he gave the Kuiper and the Brighton backline a torrid night on the flank, I thought there was a possible penalty in the second half when Brighton's Buscagli stood on his foot and went down. I've seen them given. I don't think there was enough in it maybe for a penalty, but I'll get your reaction in a while, lads. Um, there was a strong-handed save from Kepa from a powerful strike from De Kuiper, which was a great save in the second half. Then our first goal, Marino's delightful back flick into Lewis Kelly, who squared it to Nan Weardy, and he buried a shot into Steele's left-hand corner. What a goal. Eze had a great shot, deflected, very similar to the Champions League game last week, where it deflected and it was unlucky not to go into the top corner. Um, Anus was unlucky not to get the goal for a second goal. Steele came out and saved well, and there was Saka who came up with the rebound and finished off well. And then at the very end, Trossard hit Steele's left hand post and was unlucky not to get a goal against his former club. Um, First of all, to yourself, Eamon, um, what did you make of last night's 2-0 Carabao Cup fourth round victory over Brighton?
Well, it was a new experience, Jonathan and David, because I was watching it on a laptop on Sky Go, and
That is a new experience.
hold on, you see, it was on this thing that Sky have now called multi-view.
Yeah,
Sweet Jesus
yeah.
Christ!
Where you're
It was
watching
like
every game.
it was like 1 minute it was a postage stamp, and the next thing it was
Main screen.
cinema
Yeah,
scope. I found that hard to adjust to. It's just as well I've had recent eye surgery, and my bionic eyes were able to focus in on the Arsenal game. But no, I saw. But the gas thing about it is this: the Sky Multiview, they defaulted to showing mostly the Liverpool game on the
yeah,
on the bigger screen. For anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, you get a load of games on the one screen, and where there's action, it jumps onto a bigger screen, and everything else is on a postage stamp, and it keeps swapping around. Um, and then it tells you, remember, if you want to isolate this game, I say, here we go, this is great. Press the red button. Well, I don't have a red button. I'm on a laptop, So I had to. Look, I saw all the game. I see it for what it is. It's a Carabao. What's it called now? Still Carabao, is it?
Carabao Cup.
Yeah, it used to be with the Worthington
The
Cup, the Little Ones
Coca-Cola
Cup, the
Cup when we won it back
Coca-Cola
in
Cup.
Milk,
93.
milk
The
cup,
league,
milk
the
cup.
as old Grizzly veterans like myself and Dave will call it the League Cup, right?
The
Yeah,
Milk Cup.
league.
I think David
Yeah,
named it correctly. The
milk,
Milk Cup.
milk.
Yeah.
Having more sales went through
Okay,
the.
so here's a couple of quick points I'd make. First of all, we all agree that we have quality replacements, but what last night showed was that because they haven't all played together, it takes a while for players to connect.
Yeah,
Okay, so when you bring in one or two changing from Premier League game to Premier League game, that's seamless. But when you bring in 10,
yeah,
it takes a while to connect. And I think that more than anything else was why we were a bit all at sea for the first half hour, right?
yeah, yeah,
And for anybody who thinks Liverpool are done for, remember against Brentford, they'd only got four of their title winning starting 11. So they're in a stage where their players are still trying to connect. But what I was impressed about was that as the game wore on, they did actually connect. They didn't rely on bringing in the cavalry from the bench because Arsenal had gotten on top of that game well before the substitutions, right? The second thing is what I noticed was the way we were played through on the break. It was like Arsenal of old. We're
yeah,
taking a corner and all of a sudden it's a one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And I think that's down to the connections. I don't think it's down to bad players or anything like that. I just think, and Arteta more or less said, well, I didn't change it at halftime because it wasn't really their fault. I think he was making allowances for the fact that he put this team out together that had never played together in that format, right? I disagree with you about Kepa. I thought Kepa was really good. And I'd say he was all at sea for one corner.
would
He's
that
only
worry you
played,
at all, though, Eamon? With
well, you see, he's only played one game this season, Jonathan.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Do you think he'll be solely your cup keeper? In these kind of.
well, he will be unless Raya gets injured.
Yeah, yes, fair point. Yeah,
And he knows that. But apparently in the dressing room, he is the height of professionalism.
right.
So the connections developed as the game went on. I think the best the best focus on the point I'm trying to make is Etan Manieri. He had a terrible first half hour. For a guy who's looking to break into the team, he wasn't making an impact and that. But as the game wore on, he continued to be brave on the ball. Things start working out for him. Spaces start opening up. He was aided and abetted by Mikel Merino's game smarts. Because again, as the game wore on, Mourinho was able to read the way the game was going and occupy positions to create an open space.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know why Brighton, after the start they had, then retreated to putting 11 behind the ball. It made no sense to me whatsoever. in a cup tie why you put 11 behind the ball. It just didn't make any sense. But in the second half, it was all Arsenal, and if you cast your mind back, and this is the last point I'll make, if you cast your mind back to 2 seasons ago, we were also on top of the league. We also got Brighton in the League Cup. We went ahead through Eddie and Ketia. We didn't play a full squad. We got beaten. And you rightly remember, Jonathan, that was the night I left this podcast thread because I couldn't stand the brickbatting and the negativity and the meltdown over the fact that we lost the cup tie, right? Last night, what would have happened if we'd lost that game? Would Arteta have been criticised for making 10 changes when we've invested heavily in the squad? You know,
I,
uh,
I think the reaction probably would have been not as meltdown mode as it was, Aim. I think fans probably you would get a small fraction of fans that, lose their head. But I
well,
think
you seem to know most of them. But anyway,
Eamon was one of the
and,
Mikel
and, and
Arteta out
just on that
brigade.
point, unbelievably, I just typed in because the child in me took over this morning, and I typed in reaction to Liverpool versus Crystal Palace, and I came up with this Talksport clip where there was several Liverpool fans shouting for Arne Slot's head. Yeah, it's beyond belief, um, they've had to completely overhaul their squad.
Yeah.
But it was nice that somebody else was having a meltdown, not us. So
I
you
wonder if
know,
their WhatsApp groups as mad as ours.
I think it's the type of thing. I'll summarize it by saying I wouldn't have been gutted if we went out. There's no reason why we needed to go out. We've a
Yeah.
thick enough squad to be able to deal with that. We dealt with it, but now that we're in the quarter final, you've got to put your sights on winning the competition.
Yeah, it's nearly 33 years to be come next February when we last won it against Sheffield Wednesday back in the day in 1993. Um, I'd like to get your take, David, in particular on the performances of Piero Hincapié, the 15-year-old wonder kid Max Dowman, and Hardyman Andre Yanous. Your take on their performances last night, David.
Well, I think there's so much has been said about Max, and there will always be. He'll be probably the most written about footballer in Arsenal's history by the time he reaches 25. I think will surpass all the greatness of ever player. I really believe in him. I believe he could be a player of the ages. I think he could be, if he stays fit and he keeps his mind at it, 15 years, 302 days to start and do 70 minutes at home at the Emirates in a competition that I'm calling the Max Cup, because to me, the whole premise of the cup.
You've put yourself on silent, David.
Okay.
Go for
So
it.
yeah, I've started calling this the Max Cup because to me, it's a cup about getting the youngsters on that pitch and getting them to feel the experience. And I agree with you completely. Now we're getting to the quarterfinals. We want to go on and win this, and I want to see Max get all the way to that final and get himself a medal nice and early in February. The other players around him and all the youngsters, they're exceptional. I mean, there's no question about it. They're coming in and very much like you said, Eamon, I completely agree. I felt Mourinho was like the godfather last night, like teaching the young guys what to do,
Yeah.
making them work and showing them the way, like
Yeah,
just being that real elder statesman. He's not an elder statesman, but to them he is,
yeah,
and really giving them a hand and helping them out. Max's runs, I mean, the guys, he's got no fear whatsoever. He's 15 years and 302 days old. He's not 16 until New Year's Eve, right? He could be out trick or treating tomorrow, right? He's got his mask, he's got Caress mask for tomorrow night, and he's going to be up and down Ealing with his bucket, trick or treating on the door with all his other mates, and that's what he's going to be doing. He's 15 years old, right?
yes,
Um,
yeah,
I just felt that the game yesterday was I totally agree. Slow start, 10 changes. You have to wait these things out. Then Arsenal became really dominant. The key part of the whole game was the back heel by Mourinho, Skelly into Namweri. I love Nathan. I think I was so excited about him last year. I was hoping when Odegaard got injured, I thought he would come through. When Saka was injured a bit, I thought he would come through. I thought they would really, but Arteta decided to hold him back a little bit more. And I feel that he's probably one of the players that has suffered from not getting game time recently because he seems to have dropped down the list a little bit and he's not been getting it. And last night it was really important for him to come through. And like you said, Eamon, he really fought for his place last night and improved as the game went on and got his goal. And I felt that was fantastic for him, and that's going to give him a real lift. But Kepa again, a clean sheet. I mean, that's his second start or whatever. You've got to think of these things. Brighton are not mugs in any shape or form. They're good in the Premier League. They kicked us out last year, as you said. That was a difficult game. It really was, because we had to make the changes because we're playing twice a week, midweek weekend at the moment. And we've got some massive games coming up until the international break. And then these poor sods are going to have to go off and play even more football while we're going to sit around for 2 weeks doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? I'm not happy about it. But yeah, I just felt that we did incredibly well last night. 2-0 at home. It was a great spectacle. The Carabao Cup, the Milk Cup, the Littlewood Cup, whatever you want to call it, or the Max Cup, as it's now known, is a great way for, I know a lot of my mates took their kids to that game last night, really young kids, 10, 11, 15 years old. They're watching a young player like Max, the same age as them, out on that pitch. And that inspiration for young kids cannot be knocked. It is unbelievable. It is quite, in this day and age of TikTok and Instagram and social media and everything, but to go along to a football match and see a guy the same age as you kicking a ball around for the Arsenal in a proper cup game is just unbelievable for 14, 13-year-old kids. It's just amazing. So, I felt yesterday was a proper young guns going for it all the way, getting the result, and most importantly, getting the clean sheet as well. So it shows that the defence worked, all those changes in that defence, and they gelled, because in that first half an hour, like you said, we could have easily been 2-0 down. But in football, the facts are that we weren't, and we went on to win the game 2-0 with a clean sheet. And at the end of the day, that's the thing, that's the important thing, isn't it? They had their chances, Brighton, but they didn't break us. They didn't break us down. So yeah, amazing game.
What struck me about Max Dowman last night was not only the magic in his boots, was the maturity in his work rate and his ability to do the defensive side of the game.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, absolutely. He's not. I mean, he must have been aching today. Surely he's done 70 minutes. Probably in the biggest game he's played so far, without a doubt. Last night, again, you see, he's stepping up. That's the biggest game, right? He's at the Emirates. He's starting, the youngest player ever to start for Arsenal, right? The pressure, massive. And I think Arteta said in the week, they were pushing Arteta to try and find out if he was going to start. And he said that if he looks at his passport, he would never put him on the pitch. Because he says, he said in his interview, he said, if I keep looking at his passport, I won't play him. But if I look at him on training, I'm playing him every week, because he knows he's still 15.
yeah,
And
you
he's
see,
not coming.
They said that to be me and Eamon when we stepped on the Emirates tour from to a ride. We shouldn't have got on it at all.
they'd confiscate your passport. But no, the thing it is, I think where Arteta's coming from is that from a physiological point of view, that lad is still growing. So if you impose too much physicality on him, you could get a kind of a physical regression, and that's not good, right? But the other thing, and I thought this was really pertinent from Arteta, was remember, Max is chopping and changing from the under 21s to the senior squad. So he's going back to play. You saw the 21s against Atletico, an open shootout 4-3. It's a completely different experience. So
100%.
you got to be mindful of that. So you've got to allow him to develop
Naturally.
as the big fish,
Yeah.
in that under 21 environment,
Yeah.
and make sure that he has room for all of his expression at the physical level that he's currently at before you can regularly transmit it to senior football.
I'd just like to
Yeah,
give.
and also,
Sorry, Dave.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, just to finish up on Max for a moment. Also, it was announced this week that he's signed a scholarship with Arsenal Football Club.
Right.
And the important things about that is Arsenal have found a way to develop something that they've never really done before, and that is give him a scholarship, which basically means he still hasn't signed a professional football contract with Arsenal. And at the end of the scholarship, he could still technically go and play somewhere else. And obviously his whole family are Arsenal supporters. He's an Arsenal supporter. This isn't going to happen. But what I'm saying is, at the moment, legally, he cannot sign. He can't sign until he's 17. So he can't sign until the end of next year, right? New Year's Day 27 will be when he signs his first professional footballing contract. So next year he'll be under a scholarship. There was this rumors going around that he was on 300 quid a week and everything. That supposedly has been increased as part of the scholarship, but it's still not a huge amount of money. But his family are obviously working deeply. He has to have a chaperone with him the whole time. He has to get changed in a different part of the ground. He has to change in a different training ground. He can't travel with the team. There's all these things. So he literally is a whole story to himself. And it's something that Arsenal are very, very good at developing young players. We've seen it with how Saka's come through. We've seen Nwaneri, we've seen Skelly. And, it's amazing. And again, he's 15 years old. I mean, it just confounds me. I can't get my head around it, how good he is. It's amazing.
Yeah, and long may he continue his rise and rise. Yeah, Brighton, of course, dumped us out of the cup in 2022, lads. And just a quick rundown of the 11 that night: Karl Hein in goal, Cedric Saliba holding a Tierney at the back, and Nenny Lakonga Vieira in midfield, and Marquinhos and Kaji and Nelson up front. And as we all know, Saliba the only survivor. So it shows within 3 years how drastically the team has changed, isn't it? Like, it's just quite incredible, isn't it? When you compare it to last night's squad, the depth we have on the bench. Um, Briefly, I mean, he gave the Kuiper and the Brentford backline an awful night with his pace and his direct running. Do you feel that could have been a penalty to tackle by Pascagli on him?
I thought it was a penalty.
Yeah,
I think he didn't get. I think if that had been a VAR decision, it would have been a penalty.
yeah. I yeah.
There was contact. Okay, so Max wasn't going anywhere, and he ended up running out of play. So what? It was a
He
penalty.
he did catch him on the foot though, didn't he?
You caught him on the foot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Would you agree, David? Penalty?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think the way Max Dermott got up and got on with it shows the maturity as well. He wasn't moaning and it was more Brighton moaning about him. Yet it could have been. I think all them
He must
react.
have been coached by Dave O'Leary.
Yeah, just get
Yeah.
on.
As I say, uh, he kicked you. So what? Get
I
on with it.
like our take, Eamon. We've waited a while to see him. He came on against Crystal Palace, but only for 7, 8 minutes. Piero and Capier, you could see Brighton, Reuter and Seamas up front. They tried to split him and Mascara, didn't they? When they broke, they tried to isolate Capier. What was your take on Piero and Capier's performance last night?
I thought the two centre halves for their first outing together were outstanding. I know Mascara gave one bad ball away, but he was outstanding,
Yeah,
right? And all I say about Hincapie is Gabriel Heinze must be rubbing his hands at the work that he can what he can mold this fella into. This fella has the dog in him.
yeah.
This fella is a Rottweiler, right? I'm telling you, and he's good. He's a very strong player, and he's good on the ball. He can play, and I've been really impressed with him. But imagine what Heinz will do with him now, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
How impressed were you with Piero and Capier's performance, Davis? For I know he only got 70 minutes. Can you see him bit more being a top
I,
quality?
I, I agree with everything that Eamon said. I mean, I think that both of them were outstanding. You can see that by the clean sheet. You know, trying to throw everybody in. You've got a not a rookie, but you've got got a goalkeeper. You're putting guys together sold out 60,000 up against Brighton at home. A lot of pressure on, lots of young kids in the team. And you've got to hold it together and you've got to be solid. And not only that, on the back of them, they're thinking, the team hasn't conceded this October. right? This is the last game. We want to keep winning. We want to keep in this competition. The pressure in their heads must be huge. And yeah, there was the odd foot that went wrong. Wrong. The odd one, which is bound to happen. And we've seen Saliba and Gabriel make mistakes occasionally, and Raya. Um, and there's always that chance. But I thought they were just outstanding. I mean, our strength in defence at the moment is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And long may it continue because these guys are only going to get more chance. We've got another game now against Palace in the next round. Palace have got 4 games in 8 days or whatever. Their fixture list in December is an absolute nightmare. They've got to go to play City before they come to us. We're at home again. We'll put the kids out again. Maybe there might be a couple of other changes. You don't know. We might be a bit stronger, I think, against Palace. I think he'll want to get to the semi-final. I think he'll want to proceed, Arteta, and and go on and win the competition. And how lovely it would be to get to Wembley in March and for this young team to get themselves their first medal, just to calm the nerves as we go in for the run towards the end of the season, and have that as a bit of a bounce for everybody to calm the nerves. So in a long answer, yes, I thought they were good.
Eamon, as I said, five high-end products on the pitch last night. In particular, 17-year-old Harryman Andre News up front. Um, what was your take on his performance last night? Unlucky not to score that second goal, wasn't he?
When you say you put the kids out, I don't consider Wanyerdi and Skelly kids anymore because of the depth of experience they have. But they are still kids. They're
Yeah,
18 and 19, right? Max is just a different.
he's a different animal,
Max
isn't
is
he?
just different, right? I thought he did well. I thought he was willing. But what I liked most was for the second goal, the smartness of the run, but also Timber trusted him.
Yeah.
Timber played that ball into him when we were 1-0 up, right? There was other options available, but he trusted him. So what does that tell you? That tells you that he's doing this stuff in training. That's what that tells you, right? So I thought he did well. I thought he acquitted himself well. I just want to give David a piece of advice. You're worrying about the next international break. There's a great series on BBC 4, The Nocturnal Behavior of the Grey Squirrel in Urban Forestation Areas, that I think you should really get stuck into, you know.
I'm all there. I'm all there. I think I might watch 89 again and then back it with Fever Pitch and then
I
watch.
was
Yeah,
just
see
going to
all of
say,
that.
I think
that'd
I think
be,
that might be better.
yeah, we've got our top three documentaries,
I
Rocky.
can't watch Borg and McEnroe once more again. I can't do it, you know.
Eamon Attenborough Donnelly there, speaking of him. It's hard to believe 1993 was the last time we won the League Cup, lads, that day against Sheffield Wednesday. Eamon, uh, Crystal Palace won't be an easy, you won't be an easy out for this. Liverpool found out last night. I say Marquis was glad he didn't go in September. Um, would you be confident of getting past Crystal Palace and then, there's a lot of good teams left in the Carabao Cup this season, isn't there? It won't be easy going all the way to the final, but by far when you see our squad depth,
It's in a different phase of the season, Jonathan.
yeah.
It's 6 weeks away. You know, you got to see what the state of the parties is at that stage, you know. But we're
Yeah,
capable.
what do you find about that actually? A
Arsenal are
2-1
capable of beating
year,
anybody.
yeah. With the depth we have now, you'd
Yeah.
fancy us, wouldn't you? Out of all the remaining teams.
There's not one team that would have said, "Oh, do you know what? I'd love to get Arsenal away. That'd be great crack."
Definitely not Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I'd love if
No,
Jesus
no.
was back. We remember
It's
Jesus.
just a shame that Spurs are out of the competition because it would
Yeah,
be lovely to have got them in the semi-final, wouldn't
yeah, I
it?
would
Do you
have
know what I
loved
mean?
Very humble, David.
Would it would have
I
been
No,
would
man,
have
no,
loved
man. Oh, but by the way, Wurzil Gummidge was at it again. Wurzil,
yeah,
watch.
he
But
was, he
Yeah,
was, he
oh,
was,
yeah,
he
Wurzil
was,
Savali
Gummidge was at it
again.
again. Yeah.
he was, he was, he
Newcastle
was.
really want to hold on to that cup, though. You can see that
Yeah, they do.
attitude. They want to get through,
Yeah,
don't they? And that what a
yeah,
cracking final that be, years and Newcastle be a nice bit of revenge for that semi-final exit last year. Um,
yeah. No, there will be some hard games. They whatever happens, get past Palace. They're going to be hard games all the way to the end of
Of
this
course they are.
competition. Whoever wins it, it's going to be a cracker. It
Of
is
course they are.
probably, yeah. It will turn some heads this competition from because yeah, there's a lot of teams in there, City and Newcastle and whatever that will, and Chelsea are in there. There's going to be some big teams. It's going to be some big teams. It should be a cracker.
What other players from last night aiming for the Gunners impressed you? Were you impressed with Eze? I thought he had a good game.
I thought Eze did a bit better. Yeah,
Yeah, he did.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
I thought Eze did a bit better.
yeah,
Yeah, I thought Lewis Skelly was beaten up a bit physically in the first half hour, but then dusted himself down.
yeah,
But you know, the guy that the guy that changed things for me was Marino
yeah,
Yeah,
because his game intelligence and leadership was an enabler for other players to express themselves.
yeah. Who was your
yeah, 100%.
man of the match aiming for yourself from last night?
Because of what Marino did, to me, Ranieri was the man of the match.
You were impressed with Nanwiri. It's not a bad shout, Eamon. Yourself, David, your man of the match, and briefly, any other players stand out for you?
Um, well, I mean, man of the match, I'm just going to give it to Max because I think it's about time he got man of the match because to come
100%.
in, youngest ever, 70 minutes, didn't put a foot wrong, was a threat the whole throughout. You know, he enabled everybody else, and he wasn't weak on that side, and he didn't hide, and his confidence and his defense work and everything, and being 15 years old, yeah, absolutely, he gets the bargain bucket trick or treat, jammy dodger,
Yeah,
bucket
he's not
of
allowed.
sweets.
He's not allowed to listen to this show because it's under 16s a company with adults apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
Warm up, son.
So your mum and
You're not
I'm
allowed
sure your
on
mum and
yet.
dad, I'm sure your mum and dad are listening, Max. So I'm sure they'll tell you about it when you're in bed now. Anyway, it's 9 o'clock.
I'm
Um,
still gutted that I
so
was earning Morton Max up to last night's 90 minutes. I was on par with a 15-year-old.
yeah, I mean, and again, I think Mourinho was excellent last night, and I think
That back
he
pick
got
was
he
brilliant.
held it all together,
Yeah, yeah.
and it just showed. I mean, the versatility of that man is quite unbelievable. I mean, put him in goal. Do you know what I mean? I think he could do anything. I mean, the guy's amazing. He can play anywhere, and yeah, we're very lucky to have that sort of player. And God, he loves Arsenal, doesn't he? He absolutely loves Arsenal. He loves Arteta, and he loves being here. And I think it's quite amazing to have someone who can be that sort of auxiliary player that can come in and be a midfield striker, a mentor, all these things in absolutely
Well,
amazing.
I tell you, this guy is one of the first names on the Spain national team sheet, right?
Yeah,
And he
no
spends
mug.
half his time at the Arsenal on the bench dressed like an onion, right? But the minute he's called on, he's good to go.
Absolutely.
I don't want to give Max Dowman my shout for man of the match. That he was exceptional at 15 years old. Goal and player of the month time, lads. With a couple of minutes remaining, I'll begin with yourself, Eamon. Goal of the month for October.
Goal of the month was actually Wanyardi's goal last night, simply for the beauty of Marino's back heel.
Yeah, I don't want to give it to
It was
Eberetti
beautiful.
SE versus Palace. I thought that was just because it was against his former side, but a cracking goal. David, goal of the month for October.
That goal. It's definitely 100%. It's Eze against Palace because that is the game where we need to win that game to put the pressure on to make us go clear. It was against his old side. It was absolutely trying to break down a brick wall, and it was an unbelievable finish. And it was the only thing that was going to break that wall for us to get the 3 points. And Eze, I thank you for coming to Arsenal, and I thank you for that goal because I think that could be critical come next March, April for winning against Palace. So I give him the October
Okay,
goal of the
very
month.
quickly, lads, with 60 seconds. Player of the month, Eamon.
Timber.
Player of the month, David.
Rice.
Player of the month for myself. Declan Rice. When you're putting the spot, I thought you had an exceptional month. I'd just like to thank Eamon Donnelly and David Sims, better known as Scoreguy on X. Thanks for coming on, lads. Catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and also on Spotify. Come on, you Gunners, and enjoy the rest of your week, lads.
Only one